Listen, there is this silence now, this stillness. Gradually, we'll get used to it, but for now, it is strange. You've left such a gap. Our world is in shock, holding its breath. But listen closer. All your laughter, all your love is still ringing out, still holding us. All our memories of you are still with us. All the love we shared is still in every one of us. And although we ache from this loss of you, you will always be here, as still and steady and fierce as any star. Look, you're shining bright through all our skies. Thank you for being here with us. Welcome, everyone, to this celebration of Mark Jamieson's life. Not words I ever expected to say. Celebrants talk about the honour and privilege of helping families with the sad times in their lives, and of course it is a privilege, but more so today because I knew Mark. He had mental health problems throughout his life, and the isolation of COVID exacerbated them. He tried to escape by drinking. Following 2020, Mark was a changed man who many here would have struggled to recognise as the happy Mark with a lust for life. Alcohol compounded his issues, and despite the unwavering support of his family and many of his friends, Mark found life was too hard to live. He took his own life on the 31st of March after battling his mental health and addiction problems for a long time. The pain Mark felt in recent years had become unbearable. He couldn't face the pain anymore. He couldn't face sharing that pain with the people he loved anymore. Mark loved unconditionally, but struggled to see that he was loved unconditionally, that his family and everyone who loved him would have endured anything to have him with us still. We're never ready to say goodbye to those we love, but this was too sudden and too soon. Being asked to conduct his ceremony comes with a sense of responsibility. How can I take all of Mark's life, all the love, all the memories spent with the people whose lives he touched over the years, and put that into the time we have here? It's not possible. There are no words I can say to make you feel better, but what I can do is talk about Mark, along with Neil and Emma, and one of Mark's closest friends, Sarah. We'll remind you, as if you need reminding, of who he was, along with just some of the many, many stories there are of the times you shared. I'll ask you to continue this celebration of Mark's life at the Normandy Hotel when we leave here. Share your stories with each other. But for now, let's take this time together to talk about Mark. Born on the 4th of May 1988, David and Alison's second child, first Neil, and after Mark, Emma. He was always on the go. Sparky Marky was just one way of describing him. You'll hear more from Neil and Emma. Alison and David said, when he went to school, Mark was like a breath of fresh air, a child who didn't take to set lessons. He thought outside the box, which wasn't helpful to his teachers who were trying to keep him focused. At age 12, Mark went to Lindsay Academy, where he excelled at maths, science and techie, which led on to him winning the Arkwright Scholarship for Engineering in 5th year. Mark loved sports. He played for the first 15 rugby team, represented the school for javelin, holding the school record for a good number of years. After leaving Lenzie Academy, Mark studied mechanical engineering at Strathclyde University, where he got an ordinary degree. He'd hoped it would have a more practical slant than it did. And during the uni holidays, he worked at Clark's shoe shop at the fort and was strangely proud that he managed to master the shoe measure. Moving on to his true passion, working in hospitality, first with Byblos, then the Buff Club, where he was for 10 years on and off, becoming general manager. Mark was very proud of the club. It became the go-to place for many of his friends and family having a night out. His dad, David, had his 60th birthday there, and Mark's sister-in-law, Molly, and friends enjoyed celebrating her hen do at the club. Emma's husband, Gregor, staggered in to plague Mark at the end of most nights out. So yes, it was definitely a family venture. When he decided on a change of scene in 2018, Mark went to Thurso to work at LED Scotland. And the following year, he achieved something he'd always wanted to do. He became a DJ in Cervinia in the Italian Alps. Now that was a biggie for Mark. However, the season closed and he returned to Scotland, where he got a job as a bar and restaurant manager at Taymouth Marina, a lochside spa resort in a beautiful part of the country. So that's a brief history of Mark's working life. Let me tell you about family life. Much of Mark's home and family life went on to shape his passions in later life. David, Alison, Neil, Mark, and Emma all love food, sport, music, and travel, and were fortunate to spend so much time together pursuing their hobbies. They enjoyed going out for meals, watching rugby and ski Sunday together, and the many, many holidays. And for Mark, spending time with his nephew Ross was a bonus as he began to struggle with life. He found happiness playing with Ross. They made each other laugh. And he would have been a fun uncle to Jamie too as he grew up. Holidays were to sunny France in the summer and snowy France at Easter. Summer holidays revolved around the swimming pool and days at the beach in Argellis. And Mark learned to ski on family holidays from the age of 2 and continued to ski into his 30s. It was one of his biggest passions in life, as you can see. He was a fantastic skier and loved the thrill of jumping off everything. He even represented Strathclyde University at freestyle, which Alison only managed to watch through her fingers. Mark was very much thought of as the heart and soul of the snow sports team and was latterly referred to as the fossil, as he still played a huge part in the club many years after he left uni, racking up some 20 snow trips with them. Travel remained a passion for Mark. He travelled around South America and Cuba. He lived out his life ambition to see the Komodo dragons in Bali and Flores, which his pappy had told him tales of from a young age. Mark also visited a temple, a very special place, and said he felt a sense of peace and inner contentment. It was somewhere he planned to go back to. But Scotland was always important to Mark. He spent many long weekends at the caravan in Campbelltown with the family. Along with Neil and Emma, they spent hours and hours crabbing and climbing on a big rock on the beach, the same one that Alison climbed as a child, and encouraged the three of them to climb it too. Mark loved music. The music playing as we came in was a favourite of his. Whenever he heard it, it brought him to tears. One unexpected time was when Mark, his girlfriend, and Alison and David found a pipe band playing Highland Cathedral in the middle of Italy one year. Later on in the ceremony, we'll hear All the Small Things by Blink 182. He played this over and over and over again in his teen years. They were his favourite band. Mark learned to play the piano and guitar at a young age, but his happy place was DJing. He did this at parties and clubs in Glasgow, on ski holidays, and even to an audience of over 3,000 at Ocean Terminal in Edinburgh. But now to rugby. Mark loved rugby. Playing, watching, talking about rugby, showing videos of rugby, analysing every minute detail of the game, and was a fantastic player. He was selected for Scotland under-20 coaching squad and had an amazing insight into the game. He could even predict moves before they happened. Then there was food. Mark enjoyed eating it, and in the last few years he became an incredibly self-taught chef, definitely not a cook. There are some people here who were lucky enough to sample his dishes and even encouraged him to enter the competition for MasterChef. But there was one thing Mark was scared of: moths. One of his favourite things to do was having cuddles with Murphy when he was a puppy. Mark came in from work about 3 or 4 in the morning and was delighted to see Murphy, someone to play with. They rolled around the floor with Mark teaching him tricks. Murphy was a well-behaved, loving dog, thanks to Mark. The most important people in Mark's life were his family, and he had some wonderful girlfriends over the years. But for now, Emma's going to read a poem she's written for Mark. Then her and Neil will tell us about their brother.
Hi everyone. As Linda said, it's a short poem that I wrote just shortly after we learned about Mark's passing. It's okay to laugh, it's okay to cry, it's okay to hate that we're all here to say goodbye. It's okay to laugh at the crazy life he led, the trampolines he bounced on, the ski slopes down he sped. It's okay to be angry that he just wouldn't listen to his family, to his friends, or hospital physicians. It's okay to talk about mental health diseases that for so many brings pain and sadness that never eases. It's okay to feel sad that he left us far too soon, and we'll never hear his big loud laugh or him play a brand new tune. It's okay to think that our Mark was Peter Pan, who wanted to play and party for just as long as he possibly can. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to smile when you think of him. That funny, caring, courageous boy we all know liked to win. It's okay to think, could I have done more? But please do not let this one last, please, I implore. It's okay to laugh, it's okay to cry, it's okay to hate that we're all here to say goodbye.
Right, you've all had your chance to cry, now it's time to laugh. Mark Andrew Jamieson by birth, better known to his family, friends and rugby teammates by the following names: Chunk, Thuggy, Smee, Chaser, Benji, Benjamin, and burglar bill. Why chunk, do you ask? Because as a toddler, Mark looked like a cross between a sumo wrestler and a barrel. Well, you will probably notice for the first time ever, Mark was not only on time, but was early. Timekeeping was not one of Mark's strong points. If Mark was to be somewhere at 9 p.m, he would usually leave the house about 9:15 p.m, usually in a whirlwind of chaos with his beloved backpack in tow. This would usually be followed by a power walk to Lenzie Station at an Olympic pace, or a white knuckle ride in his now infamous chariot, a yellow Seat Ibiza, commonly known as the bin lorry. There was literally junk everywhere, and I mean everywhere. I had the honour of being driven into town one evening on a Saturday on his way to work. Mark, late as ever, drove at a breakneck speed while insisting upon eating a full bowl of cereal filled to the brim with milk from his lap, and simultaneously dried and styled his hair. All the while, Born Slippy pounded out the speakers. We arrived in town just around from the Buff Club. Mark turned to me and said, "Well, I'm nearly early today." He was due to start 20 minutes ago. Mark, he had an answer for everything, an interpretation for virtually everything as well. From a young age, he would challenge our parents with a counter-argument for bedtime, bath time, or if he could stay out to play a bit longer. If you'd ever been lucky enough to debate with Mark, or be lectured to, you'd be familiar with "yeah but" or "no but." These were even common in his word choice up until his last days. However, Mark's most famous word as a child was "why." On one of our many trips to the south of France in the Volvo Estate wine wagon, Mark almost broke our mum. "Why is the grass green?" An explanation was given. "Why do the trees not fall over in the wind?" An explanation was given. "Why is the sky blue?" An explanation was given. "Why are there clouds in the sky?" Mum whipped around and roared, "Because they just are, Mark, okay?" Silence, and me expecting crying to ensue. But no, just more silence. Then a little voice pipes up. "Yeah, but why?" Another stunning example of Mark's ability to have an answer for everything came on his second birthday in Campbelltown. Mark had just blown out his candles and was sitting with his hands down his pants, checking his crown jewels as every boy does. Aunt Margaret turned to him disapprovingly and said, "Oh, Mark, no, why are you doing that?" And Mark, quick as a flash, said, "Because I like it."
Living life in his pants went on to be one of Mark's favourite looks. As an adult, his friends would often appear at the house to see him. Having been invited, and Mark would still be in his boxers and hoodie. In fact, we struggled to put him in clothes in preparation for a surprise birthday party. His friends were due to arrive at 6, and at 5:30 he was still sitting in his pants. I came up with an idea to get him to come and pick me up from the station and drive me to the doctor's, an important appointment I had to get to, thinking that that would get him up and dressed and ready. But no. He showed up to collect me from the station, still wearing only his boxers, a hoodie, and a pair of shoes. This leads us to some of Mark's more questionable fashion choices. I didn't used to bat an eyelid when Mark would come through to my bedroom and say, can I borrow a bikini? I've got a party to go to. And I'm sure many of us cannot unsee Mark skiing in his mankini. And who can forget when Eminem graced Glasgow for the summer when Mark bleached his hair blonde? And need we say more about him and his buckfast tracksuit? As Linda mentioned, Mark became incredibly passionate about food. He was undeniably a very talented chef. He was Michelin star Mark. But this wasn't always the case. Mark's diet as a teenager largely consisted of cheese on toast, meticulously made, sandwiches, and crisps. During the school holidays, with our childminder Margaret, we would rotate who picked lunch each day. Neil and I would try for a bit of variety, some tomato soup, beans on toast, or ravioli, but Mark, without fail on his day to choose, would ask for French toast. All the French toast. Margaret felt she had to apologise to Mum when she came home from work, saying, "Mark wanted French toast, you're going to need more bread." He continued to eat vast quantities, often 3 dinners a night. He would have an enormous bowl of tuna pasta before going out with his friends, a chippy whilst out with them, and then have whatever Mum had made for us when he got home. How he stayed so skinny was sort of a mystery. But his palate developed, as did his cooking skills, and he started to produce genuinely Michelin star-worthy food. He loved to share his creations with his friends and family. And if you were in the kitchen with him, you couldn't escape his enthusiasm, as he would come at you with a spoon, professing, "You must taste this, you must try it," even if you had only just brushed your teeth. I suppose it was only sort of a mystery why he was so skinny. Mark was either sleeping or on the go. As a child, Mark was restrained to baby reins, while Neil and I were allowed to run free. As a teenager, he didn't walk places, he just seemed to jump off everything. Whether he was on his feet, his skates, his skis, his skateboard, or a bike, there was always something to be conquered. And it was amazing how many times a lamppost would just jump out of nowhere and hit Mark's bike and break it, or indeed his dad's. As Linda said, he was an incredible rugby player. He trained hard and played hard, but he always stuck to the rules on the pitch. On one occasion, he found himself the victim of some less than sportsmanlike conduct when an opposition player had gouged his eye. But Mark didn't instantaneously retaliate. Instead, he bided his time, and he waited for his opportunity for revenge. He flew at full pace across the pitch and took them out with a very hard, legal, bone-crushing tackle, accompanied with an "F you," as he smashed them into the ground. And it was only later that he would follow up with, "Don't worry, Mum, it's okay. I have them."
Off the pitch, Mark didn't really live by the rules, as you all probably know. And we all know that he loved to party. One of his party pieces was ceilidh dancing, to anything. Particularly, though, the Gay Gordons to Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. This is a tradition that we would like all of you to keep going. One of my less proud moments as a big brother, but probably one of Mark's proudest, was after our cousin Mary's wedding. We seemed to be the last 2 guests left wandering around Edinburgh Castle, and we came to the attention of 2 very kind and tolerant soldiers who escorted us out of the castle with the huge doors slammed shut behind us. I remember turning to him and said, "Right, we better get home." Mark's mischievous face lit up. "We're not going home, we're going out." I had no say in the matter. Out it was. We arrived at the nightclub, where we were promptly and quite rightly rejected. Mark, as ever, knew someone who knew someone. And we were taken in and treated like royalty, and were fed cocktails like they were going out of fashion. I got progressively more drunk. and he gave me this stern face that I had never seen before. The one that me as an older brother should give. "We should get you home and maybe some food, or you're going to feel terrible in the morning," he said. A chippy in the grass market was sourced. The only problem was it was queued out the door and round the block. Not a problem for Mark. He had a solution. "Let's pretend to be deaf." It was all his idea. So, Mark and I faked deaf voices and created our own unique version of sign language and managed to skip the queue. While inside, a group of people were pointing at us and laughing uncontrollably and invited us to sit with them. Why, you ask? Because they were actually deaf. And they thought this was the funniest thing that they had ever seen. Friends made and phone numbers exchanged. It was time to go home. Except it wasn't. We couldn't get a taxi because none of them would take two drunken idiots home. As we stood and deliberated our next move, Mark's face lit up, and you know what I'm talking about. Then the words came, "I've got a great idea." I thought, great, he's got a solution. Wrong. "You should pierce my ear. Mum would hate that." First off, Mark, that's impossible. I don't have anything to pierce it with. Mark promptly removed his kilt pin and handed it to me. "Go on, do it." So I plunged that dagger kilt pin right through his ear, and he didn't so much as flinch when it made a stomach-churning pop right through the cartilage. "How does it look?" "Great, Mark, very fetching." Kilt pin still in his ear, he managed to negotiate a student with a rickshaw to take us across Edinburgh and abused this poor guy with his horrific banter and cackled at my suffering while I projectile vomited off the back all the way home. Mark really was Peter Pan, the boy who refused to grow up. In a way, it was one of his shortcomings, yet somehow his best quality. To quote G.M. Barry, "Second star to the right, Mark, and straight on till morning." Thank you.
Thank you, Neil and Emma. The following words are an example of how many of his friends are feeling and describes just what Mark meant to them. It's been a struggle to put into words that unique quality Mark had, that overwhelming hype, enthusiasm, and endless joy. But everyone who knew him knows what I'm talking about. I think they'd struggle to define that Mark feeling too. His ability to walk into a room and simultaneously make everyone feel like the most important person in the world was quite something. Mark always had a knack for making people feel included, entertained, and at the top of the world in his presence. Now, one of Mark's closest friends, Sarah Howden, has written the following words, which I'm going to read on her behalf. "We feel so lucky to have called Mark our friend, to have experienced his silliness, his contagious excitement, and the way he wanted everyone to be included and have the best time. Jerry said one of her favourite memories of Mark, which loads of us here today will remember, was Buff's annual naked calendar. Whether it was posing with a pumpkin or behind a piano, Mark was always right in there. And the funny thing was, it wasn't even for charity, it was just for Freshers' Week. Everyone here will have memories of Mark on 1,000 dance floors over the years, being with him at festivals, watching him at busk and every Strathsnow social, having a boogie and sub-club, followed by the Beresford living room, of course. And just a few months ago at Danny and Dyer's wedding, when we were all dancing to his tunes. We had the time of our lives, and he was doing what he always loved. There's just so many memories to list, memories that will last a lifetime. The big festival in the sky is lucky to have you, and we'll see you there one day and scream one more tune. Sarah, can I ask you to read? Yeah. Sarah's going to read a poem by Michael Ashby.
I want fireworks at my funeral to brighten up your eyes. I want clowns at my funeral to return all your smiles. I want dancing at my funeral to help you move along. I want a party at my funeral filled with your happy throng. Sorry. So party, 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 and cheer my spirit with song, as my last wish as you celebrate that life still goes on.
Thank you, Sarah. Mark was described as the life and soul of the party, any and every party, but he was also a very kind and caring man. When anyone was going through a difficult time, Mark was there for them. He was disgustingly good at everything and was a fountain of knowledge on almost every topic. He was an incredibly multi-talented, caring man, happiest when DJing, skiing, cooking, and of course, when putting in big hits at rugby. But something you might not have known, Mark was terribly insecure. For someone so talented, you might think he shouldn't have had a thing to worry about, be extremely confident in himself. So today, it's Happy Mark we're remembering. A passionate man who cared about others, and I know you all cared about him. So let's take a few minutes to listen to his favourite band, Blink 182. We've now come to perhaps the most difficult part of this ceremony, when we say a formal farewell to Mark. We'll quietly and gently let Mark go, safe in the knowledge that he's now beyond harm, fear and pain. So I'll ask you, if you're able, can you please stand? Mark, we're so privileged to have known you, shared fun, friendship, and great times with you. Enjoyed your company on good and difficult days, benefited from your generosity, kindness, and sense of humour. We're sad you're not with us now, and hope one day we'll be able to smile as we remember all the love and joy you brought to our lives. It's time to say goodbye to that part of you that can't remain. In sadness but without fear, we commit Mark's body to its final end. Please sit down. Hold Mark safe and warm in your heart. Say goodbye in a way that fits with your own beliefs while we listen to Born Slippy by Underworld. When Emma heard it at the end of the night at Strathclyde Union, she knew Mark was there and went to find him on the dance floor because he always persuaded the DJ to play it.
Boy, and all in your inner space, boy, your head and girls.
Some said grief is really just love. It's all the love that you want to give, but can't. All that unspent love gathers up in the corners of your eyes, the lump in your throat, and in that hollow part of your chest, because grief is just love with nowhere to go. There are no words I can say to make you feel better, but what I can say is every single one of us has a host of great memories of Mark, and what a privilege it is for us to have known him. Or as A.A. Milne said, how lucky am I to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. David and Alison would like to thank everyone for cards, flowers and kind thoughts at this sad time. Mark had so many friends, it's impossible to name everyone, but you know who you are and how much you meant to him. For Mark's family, his mum and dad, Neil and Molly, Emma and Gregor. His nephews, Ross and Jamie, and Uncle Alan and Uncle Eric. It's a real comfort to know that he was such a special person to all of you, as well as to them. Mark is no longer with us, but it's people who die, not love. I know the weeks and months ahead will be difficult as you learn to live your life without Mark. He stayed as long as he could. He didn't want to cause anybody pain. He hoped that the memories of the good times would carry you through, and that in time you could carry on with your own lives. And that's why Mark's family are helping to raise money for charities who were a great support to Mark. Mind, Breathing Space and AA. This will allow them to continue the good work that they already do and be a lasting memorial to Mark Andrew Jamieson, a much loved man. You're warmly invited to join the family at the Normandy Hotel after we leave here to raise a few glasses to Mark, share some of those great stories that maybe weren't suitable for public broadcast, and who knows, maybe listen to some louder tunes and do a bit of head banging. But to bring this part of the day to a close, I'm going to tell you what the poet Norman MacCaig suggested everyone should do at the funeral of one of his friends. Rather than have 2 minutes silence, it would be more appropriate to call for 2 minutes pandemonium. Now that, to me, sounds like something Mark would have enjoyed. So let's create this here. Please stand with me if you're able. Put your hands together to celebrate the life of a much loved man, listening to Green Day, The Time of Your Life.
Well, not the best of this past and all. the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.